Hey everybody, this orange graph right here, if you don't quite know, this is the graph e to the x. And here's what we're going to do with e to the x, is we're going to go ahead and we are going to use this to draw some modified graphs. And I want to start by drawing e to the x plus 1. And this is going to move it up 1. So instead of passing through 0, 1, it's going to pass through 0, 2. And this point right here at about 2.78, that's going to be at 3.78. So just right about here. And then this point right there is going to go up 1 to right about there. And so on. This point down here is going to go up 1. Going to be right about there. This is going to go up 1. It's going to be right about there. And this will be just above that line there. So let's see if we can draw this. And it's pretty hard to draw these curves, especially freehand. But I think we can give it a pretty good shot, and we at least know what's going to happen. Well, that's not too bad for e to the x plus 1. Next, I want to do e to the x minus 2, and I want to subtract 2 from the x. So that's going to be going to the right 2 units. Yeah, so this at 0 is actually going to happen at 2. We're going to move right 2 units. This happening at 1. Right here is going to go to the right. So it's going to be right there. And then this point at negative 1 is going to come over here at positive 1. This point at negative 2 is going to happen over here at 0, and this point at negative 3, where it's basically on the axis, that's going to happen at negative 1. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's draw. It's basically on the axis. On the axis, and it kind of starts to pick up, huh? And I think if we just start to curve, we can get a somewhat fuzzy but passable graph of e to the x minus 2. Another graph that we could look at would be 1/2 e to the x. So this point right here is going to be half as tall, so instead of at 1, it's going to occur at 1/2. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, so that's right here. Instead of occurring right here, this is going to occur at 1/2 of that. So instead of 2.7, it's going to be at about 1.3. We'll call it right there. And this point at 3 happening all the way up at 7 and a little bit is going to happen at 3.5. And we're going to add half of that little bit, so about right there. And I think this will still be off the scale. This will still be way off the scale at 3. This point right here is going to be half as tall. This point half as tall, and this point half as tall, but it's still basically on that line. So let's draw that in. Nice thick line, and we can just kind of see again that everything is getting flattened out just like it did with other functions. Cool. Oh sure, why not? Let's handle the last one. Let's do something like e to the 2x. Now that's going to decompress it. This will still hit at 0, 0, and that's really important to remember. But where it is at 1, that height will occur at a half. Where it is at 2, that height will occur at 1. Where it is at -1, that height will occur at -1/2. Where it is at -2, that height will occur at -1. Where it is at -3, that'll occur at -1.5. So everything moves in halfway. And let's go ahead and let's draw that. So again, this is basically on the axis. And we're going to come up, and this is going to happen very steeply. That turn is now being made very sharp. And this line's growth is pretty remarkable. There we go. And this point is halfway. Instead of being at 2 and change, it's at 1 and change. That looks good. All right, fantastic. So that's transformations on the exponential function. Great job. See you next video.